creepy and cool TikToks that will blow your mind. Are you ready? Are you ready? Let's go!
Disclaimer: this video is for entertainment purposes only. Please do your own research, as these clips haven't been fact-checked.
This is what happens at Diddy's yacht parties. Grace is a 25-year-old woman on board as crew for the yacht Victorious. They had just received news that the yacht was successfully chartered for the winter and they're gonna hit the water. This is not just a regular rich family. That's what Grace is told. They're debriefed and they are told this is a very rich, very famous family. I mean, the crew, they're used to working with wealthy individuals and being discreet is very important, but they've never worked with an A-list celebrity before. So before heading into the water, the crew, they're just really excited. They want to make sure that Diddy and his family have a spectacular time. I mean, let's make the holidays amazing for them. That's the goal. It said that they were potentially even filming a Hulu family reality TV show, like Keeping Up with the Combs. But Grace noticed something very strange about the Combs' time on the yacht. She thought it was gonna be like a cute family vacation. So why is it that all the girls are coming on board and there's a constant rotation of strangers and other A-list celebrities that are coming on and off board? And strangely, it appears that anytime a girl steps foot on this yacht, they get intoxicated after one tiny shot of alcohol.
Wow.
It just doesn't seem normal. People on the yacht would take one shot and just be sprawled out on the deck, unconscious. Other women would drink one mixed drink and they'd be falling over themselves. They would go have a panic attack. Some of them would just pass out. Grace didn't know exactly what's going on, but she has a sneaking suspicion that the drinks were laced with something. Drugs. And then it happens.
Yeah.
December 28th, 2022, she alleges in her lawsuit that she was essayed
Ooh.
by Sean Diddy Combs' son, Christian King Combs.
One thing I never understand about Diddy is introducing his own children to his evil secret lifestyle. He should have at least protected his kids.
Okay, breaking news. After 2 years in jail, today, Young Thug is actually free. And I know that's hard for some of you to believe, because as soon as he dropped that truly humble under God claim, I think we
What?
all thought bro was cooked for sure. But no, his lawyer, Brian Steele, he pulled off one of the most goated trust me moments in history. The prosecutors offered Young Thug a plea deal and said, if you do not take it, we are recommending to the judge that you do 45 years. That's 25 in custody and 20 on probation.
Ooh.
His lawyer, Brian Steele, had the nerve to say, bro, do not take it. He said plead guilty to the gang, drug, and gun charges and no contest to the RICO charges and let the judge decide your punishment. What a gamble. But that turned out to be the best decision he has ever made, because the judge gave him time served, which is the 2 years he was already in prison, and 15 years of probation. I know that
Ooh.
sounds like a lot, but jail records show that he walked free that night.
15 years probation, better than 45 years in jail.
We just learned that they have euthanized
Heartbreaking.
Peanut.
And the raccoon as well.
And the raccoon as well.
Fred.
I am so sorry. This must
Fred is the raccoon.
be really difficult for you.
It not only tears my family apart, but Peanut was the cornerstone of our nonprofit animal rescue. And 10 to 12 DEC officers raided my house as if I was a drug dealer. I was sat outside my house for 5 hours. I had to get a police escort to my bathroom.
Oh.
I wasn't even allowed to feed my rescue horses breakfast or lunch. I was sat there like a criminal after they interrogated my wife to check out her immigration status.
What?
Then proceeded to ask me if I had cameras in my house. Then proceeded to go through every cabinet, nook, and cranny of my house for a squirrel and a raccoon.
They got a search warrant?
They got a search warrant. 4 departments and a judge signed off on a search warrant for a squirrel and a raccoon.
My goodness.
And then they took them and killed them.
Ugh.
Why did they go through all that to get a search warrant for an animal that had been with you very safely, and the world witnessed this for 7 years? Why now suddenly did they show up with a search warrant and take these animals?
We haven't a clue. We don't know who made the complaints. Again, Peanut was an indoor squirrel, not harming anybody. He's been with us for 7 years. Not a single complaint was ever filed for this animal. We had him for 7.5 years. He became the world's most famous squirrel. We weren't hiding him by any means. He was all over TikTok. He became the first squirrel on TikTok to ever hit 1 million followers. He did every news station around the world. He's helped people. He's helped kids gather joy. And then we started a nonprofit animal rescue called Peanut's Freedom Farm to help animals like Peanut fight a good fight when they're in a neglected case or they're sitting in a slaughter auction. And he was the cornerstone of our life and our organization. We used his platform to help raise money for the 300 animals we have at our...
This is crazy. Treating them like criminals? Poor Peanut and Fred. Rest in peace. I smell a lawsuit coming.
Has got to be one of the most horrendous things I've seen in a while. As many of us already know, 7 years ago, this man, Mark, took in a baby squirrel after his mother was hit by a car. He cared for that squirrel, who he named Peanut, and when he was old enough to be let go safely, he did. But instead of running away, Peanut turned up on his porch the very next morning with a chunk missing from his tail. Mark started documenting his journey with Peanut, and after his videos went mega viral, it is safe to say that Peanut became one of the most beloved and famous squirrels on Earth. But then, 7 years on, the DEC released a statement saying that an investigation had been launched after receiving multiple anonymous reports from the public about potentially unsafe housing of wildlife that could carry rabies and the illegal keeping of wildlife as pets. Mark said that on Wednesday, 10 to 12 DEC agents turned up at his door, raided his house while they sat him outside for 5 hours, and they even gave him a police escort when he wanted to use his own bathroom. They not only seized Peanut, but they also took Fred, the raccoon, who he was also looking after. But then things got a whole lot worse. They found out days later that Peanut had bit one of the staff. And because testing for rabies requires that the animal be euthanized, both Fred and Peanut were killed. Now, as you'd imagine, hearing that, the anger and fury online has been relentless. And Mark and his wife have said they are now in...
Good, absolutely. It's a tragedy. Spend all the resources on the wrong priorities. It's terrible. Rest in peace, Peanut.
The woman who got Fred and Peanut unalived speaks, and this is what she has to say. The video reads, "It was my right to report Peanut the squirrel to the authorities. Peanut is a wild animal, not a pet. Stop with the hate." Now guys, allegedly she has wiped all of her social media accounts. I'm not even going to say her name because people's videos keep getting taken down. However, I don't know if this is real because this is only 3 hours old. This account looks like it could be brand new. So this could be somebody just messing with us. But at the same time, it seems like this woman was pretty adamant that she thought she did the right thing.
Just because you can doesn't mean you should. And what did she gain from this again?
So y'all got Peanut the squirrel and his raccoon friend euthanized. You feel good about yourselves? Those of you out there that constantly reported that man for his content because you're jealous and you hated the fact that he had cute little pets that you didn't have, those of you out there that kept calling in and snitching on him to the police, do you feel good about yourself now that those animals are gone and deceased, euthanized, with people that didn't love them and didn't care for them, and I guarantee you we're not holding them and cuddling them and coddling them the way that they're used to? Do you feel good about yourself? You're a fascist, you know that, right? See, when you have rules that don't make sense, when a government gets so big that they have rules that don't make sense that hurt people rather than help people, when you've got people that call themselves environmental conservationists, that euthanized animals that were not hurting anybody, you yanked them. What did it take, 5 officers to raid the man's house to yank a squirrel and a raccoon out of there? Because you people kept calling and complaining. Are you happy now? You're a fascist. Peace and love. I'm out.
I hope all their names get leaked.
President Donald Trump has just released a statement regarding the untimely and unfortunate execution of Peanut the squirrel by the state of New York. If you're not familiar with Peanut, he's a squirrel who is internet famous, over 500,000 followers on Instagram, and he lives with this guy, Mark Longo, a content creator and, well, squirrel enthusiast. In a really touching and heartfelt post on Instagram, Mark Longo announced to his hundreds of thousands of followers that his squirrel Peanut and his raccoon friend Fred were seized by the state of New York and euthanized. This came as a complete and total shock to the Peanut posse, who's been enjoying watching the growth of Peanut over the last 7 years as he playfully eats waffles and flies through the air and doesn't seem to be harming anybody at all. This is the really disturbing part. Mark Longo told TMZ that 4 New York state agencies came to his house with a warrant, detained him and his wife for several hours, questioned her about her immigration status, refused to let him feed his other shelter animals, and then took Fred the raccoon and Peanut the squirrel away to be put down forever. There has been international outrage, and even President Trump released a statement saying there have been horrible reports out of New York, my former home state, where state environmental agents raided the home of Mark Longo and his wife. Mark was taken into custody for hours while officials took his pet Fred the raccoon and Peanut the squirrel. These animals were later executed by the state of New York. And people in New York are equally furious because, as Donald Trump pointed out, New York authorities under their terrible governor put more effort into finding and eliminating a squirrel who is innocent by all accounts than they do to control the unchecked illegal immigrants who have flooded into their states. Who knew that Peanut the squirrel and Fred the raccoon would become a campaign issue this close to the election? And in a state like New York, which a lot of people feel is more purple than ever before, Peanut's passing could potentially have powerful political ramifications. Pray for Fred and Peanut, and let's hope that their deaths weren't in vain.
Just proves how ass backwards New York government is. Absolutely ridiculous. And if I was American, Trump would have my vote.
Has all of the Mr. Beast drama finally come to an end today? That is the question, because this long-awaited independent third-party investigation into Mr. Beast has just been released. So the law firm that Jimmy hired said that they conducted 39 interviews with current and former employees, and they said they reviewed over 4.5 million documents collected from mobile phones, emails, and a bunch of social media platforms. And there are 2 main conclusions. Number 1, and I quote, allegations of sexual misconduct between company employees and minors are without basis. The allegations were soundly rejected, including by alleged victims. And number 2, they said allegations that the company had knowingly employed individuals with proclivities or histories towards illegal conduct are similarly without basis. Now, as you'd imagine, since the law firm was hired by Mr. Beast, some of the top comments on his post about this were things saying like, we investigated ourselves and we found ourselves innocent. But I guess that begs the question, do you think this investigation was good enough to disprove all of those allegations? And if not, what process would be good enough? Let me know.
So he finds himself innocent in his own investigation?
The house was obviously not locked, but these monsters disguised as humans were hesitant to break in, and the woman could only touch the talisman stone that suppressed the ghosts and pray that she would live until morning, because every time night fell, these monsters would gather in the town. They specialized in human internal organs for food and would not leave until dawn, and in order to protect the safety of the people, the sheriff would ring the bell every day before sunset. As soon as the sound was heard, all the residents would quickly return home and habitually stroke the charm stone in front of the door. Even 7- or 8-year-old children will do as they are told. One can imagine how scary the nights in this small town really are. After the streets are empty, the sheriff returns to the police station with peace of mind, and the sign on the wall shows that 96 days have passed peacefully. Little did he know that tonight, this number would be broken because the man was drunk. The tavern owner had no choice but to lock the doors and windows and let the man stay for the night, but the drunkard still had a wife and daughter at home. Seeing that her husband was not returning, the wife locked the door and returned inside. It was late at night. The drunkard's daughter was getting ready for bed, but outside the window came the voice of her late grandmother. She curiously opened the curtains, and sure enough, she found her grandmother outside. She said it was cold outside and wanted to come in and sit. It was easy to deceive the girl. Even though her mother tried desperately to stop her, she was still a step too late.
It's called From. Season 3 is out now.
Why do all the planes flying over the Atlantic choose this specific narrow path? Look, it's a really crazy bunch of planes, moving along an invisible highway in perfect order on parallel paths. But why is that? Well, firstly, this is the shortest way between the USA and Europe, and secondly, there's an actual highway in the sky called the jet stream. Jet stream is a powerful air current that moves from west to east. It saves fuel and makes flights shorter and less turbulent. That's why flights from the US to Europe are usually faster than in the opposite direction. But how do they avoid collisions, especially since radars don't work over the Atlantic? You see, it's all handled by the North Atlantic tracks. Since jet streams are constantly shifting, experts analyze a lot of data every day and literally create tracks for the planes. As planes approach these tracks, pilots request permission to enter them. Air traffic controllers, based on all the requests, optimally schedule the planes by setting speed, altitude, and distance, which makes flying so safe.
I need more info on the no radars over the Atlantic.
How has garbage become the biggest theme in the US election right now? It started at a Trump rally where a comedian said that Puerto Rico was a floating island of garbage. That went absolutely crazy online, and then after Biden heard about that, he said,
"The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters."
That too
Ooh.
sent the internet going crazy. So in response, the very next day, Trump turns up to a rally in an actual garbage truck and a high-vis vest, saying that it was in honor of Kamala and Biden.
How do you like my garbage truck? This truck is in honor of Kamala and Joe Biden.
And we still have 5 days to go.
Love him or hate him, this is actually hilarious.
At least 7 people have died in catastrophic flooding across Central and Eastern Europe. Heavy flooding has hit towns in the northern Czech Republic, with rivers overflowing and torrents of water running down streets. Thousands of people have been evacuated from their homes in Poland and Romania. A state of emergency has been declared in Slovakia's capital, Bratislava, while the province surrounding Austria's capital, Vienna, has been declared a national disaster zone.
Is that normal? Spain, Poland, Romania. Last year in Turkey, very big earthquake.
Crazy things happening in the world right now. Zoom, the app widely used for remote work, is telling its employees that they need to come back to the office. For Mental Health Awareness Week, McDonald's changed their Happy Meal to just the meal. The Red Lobster found a rare orange lobster in their batch and decided to donate it to the Denver Aquarium.
Wow.
Florida put new state line signs that welcome drivers to the free state of Florida. Japan is running surveys on their young people, asking them why they're not getting married amid a population crisis in the country. The OceanGate co-founder said that he wants to dive to the portal to hell that sits in the Bahamas. Costco is now selling apocalypse buckets where you get 150 servings of food that will last for 25 years.
What?
65,000 coffee mugs randomly went missing in a Tesla factory. A recent study published says that young adulthood is no longer the happiest time of a person's life.
No.
Another study published that you actually can't have too much money, and that billionaires are significantly happier than millionaires.
Oh,
Famous killers.
that's crazy.
Last words. John Wayne Gacy, the killer clown. Responsible for the lives of 33 men. Executed by lethal injection on May 10th, 1994, his last words were, "Kiss my ass." Peter Curtin, responsible for the lives and sometimes drinking the blood of at least 60 people. Executed by guillotine on July 2nd, 1931. His
Guillotine.
last words were, "Tell me, after my head has been chopped off, will I still be able to hear, at least for a moment, the sound of my own blood gushing from the stump of my neck? That would be a pleasure to end all pleasures."
What?
Eileen Warnos, responsible for the lives of 7 men. She was executed by lethal injection on October 9th, 2002, and her last words were, "I'd like to say I'm sailing with the Rock, and I'll be back like Independence Day with Jesus, June 6th. Like the movie, big mothership and all, I'll be back." Thomas J. Grasso, responsible for the lives of 2 people, executed by lethal injection on March 20th, 1995. His last words were, "I did not get my SpaghettiOs, I got spaghetti. I want the press to know this." Jeffrey Dahmer, the Milwaukee cannibal, responsible for the lives of 17 men and boys. He was beaten to death by a fellow inmate on November 28th, 1994. His last words were, "I don't care if I live or die, go ahead and kill me." Ted Bundy, responsible for the lives of at least 30 women. He was executed by the electric chair on January 4th, 1989, and his last words were, "I'd like you to give my love to my family and friends."
Okay.
Nice. Amelia Dyer, said to be responsible for the murder of over 400
Oh my
children.
goodness.
Hanged on June 10th, 1896, her last words were, "I have nothing to say." Peter Manuel, the Beast of Birkenshaw, responsible for the lives of at least 7 people. Hanged on June 11th, 1958, his last words were, "Turn up the radio, I'll go quietly." Like and follow for more.
Guillotine in 1931? That's crazy. Yeah, I see the resemblance. That's her. Yup. Yup. That's her. Wow. I honestly think the show D100 was telling us something more than just being entertainment. Daddy's not searching for peace. No words can express the bravery of this teen in such a terrifying moment.
Sharing is how you leak the energy. Privacy is protection. Stop telling people more than what they need to know. The less you reveal, the more people can wonder. Forget attention. Move in silence. Live peacefully. Vibrate higher. Only speak when it's time to say checkmate.
Oh, I like that. Real G's move in silence like lasagna. Lil Wayne.
To Louisville, Kentucky now, a federal jury has found former detective Brett Hankison, who shot 10 times into Breonna Taylor's apartment in 2020, guilty of violating her civil rights for using excessive force. Taylor's death and the botched raid sparked police reform and racial justice protests across this country. Hankison will be sentenced.
What is even the potential sentence for excessive force or violating her civil rights? Because I'm sure it's not par with manslaughter.
Breaking news after the government of Afghanistan went viral for making it forbidden for women to speak out loud in public places. They've now added a new law stating that women can no longer, quote unquote, hear each other's voices in public and private. This comes as the Ministry of Virtue and Prevention of Vice decided to ban women from going to high school or university, working in civil service, attending a protest, going abroad, singing, speaking to a male doctor, looking at men they don't know, not wearing anything that's covered head to toe, owning a smartphone, and the list goes on. Join me on Discord to talk about it.
Why do they hate them so much? I think for them, they just bird machine.
You think this is a coincidence? Watch this. Wow.
Oh, tomato.
See, everything God designed, He designed it in coincidence with one another, but it's not just a coincidence, but it's intertwined with one another. It may look like a coincidence because it has similarities, but there's a purpose behind everything God has done. If you believe that, type in the comments. God is able. Subscribe or follow for more content like this.
Nothing is coincidence. It's all God's work, and God is able for real.
What people don't understand about addiction, which is actually the reason why I decline most invitations to speak about the topic, is that people think that addiction has to do with drugs and alcohol. And it has really very, very little to do with drugs and alcohol. First of all, there are other addictions. People become addicted to behaviors or to people, relationships. It doesn't have to be a chemical. But secondly, and much more importantly, what people don't get is that the drug that the person is using to numb themselves is not the problem, it's the solution. I'll say it again. The drug is not the problem. The drug is the solution. Yeah, it's a solution that destroys your life, but it's a solution nonetheless. Meaning to say, the real issue of addiction is the underlying issue that the addict is attempting to address through the self-numbing behavior of the drug of choice. And what is that underlying condition? Very, very, very simple. A deep discomfort with one's own self.
Ooh.
It's like being allergic to one's own self, uncomfortable in your own skin, terminally unique, lonely in a crowded room, always wanting to feel a part of, instead feeling apart from. And that is that gnawing feeling that the drug or the alcohol, the high-risk behavior is being used to numb the person from, to distract them from.
One of the best explanations I've heard about addiction.
Fans are saying that this moron should be banned for life. Austin Capobianco was ejected from the Yankee Stadium after he forcefully tried to snatch a ball from LA Dodgers' Mookie Betts during Game 4 of the World Series. The lifelong fan and his accomplices were swiftly kicked out of the game for their despicable behavior, which according to Betts was irrelevant to the game's result. The 38-year-old later broke his silence, telling ESPN, "I know when I'm in the wrong, and as soon as I did it, I was like, boys, I'm out of here."
I don't even watch baseball, but man, ban that guy for life. That's messed up. Ooh. Yes, bearded vulture literally eats bone rather than meat. Brad Pitt of lions. Ooh. That's crazy. Wouldn't our stomach acid dilute it before it gets to the parasites? Classic, modest beauty, nothing can compare.
Sentence you to 2,500 consecutive life sentences plus 1,000 years. Once you pass away, you will receive an attempted escape charge with an additional 200 years being added to your sentence, which you will begin serving in the afterlife once you get to hell. Should you be reincarnated after your death and return to Earth as another person, you will be arrested at birth and you will spend your entire next life in the state penitentiary.
So bro basically got sealed away.
God is the ultimate. I mean, God created this.
In America, we don't worship government, we worship God.
I believe in God. I am Christian. And I go to church a lot. The Bible is special. The Bible, the more you see it, the more you read it, the more incredible it is. The Bible certainly is one of, if not, I mean, it is the book.
My wife and I pray for you.
Thank you. Well, I need it probably more than anybody in this room.
You know, he's not perfect, but his heart is in the right place.
Coming in, that underworld figure Mark Liffman has been assassinated. It is believed that Liffman was shot dead earlier today outside the Garden Route in George around midday. According to witnesses, Liffman was walking towards his vehicle when he was confronted by a person who fired several shots at him. The crime scene is still active. Liffman is on trial along with a number of organized crime figures in the Western Cape.
Strange, tomorrow is trial and he's assassinated today. I love this. Women were women.
Yeah. So there's this Chinese mukbanger. I don't know if you watch her, but it's not the person that eats a lot. Like, you know how they mukbangers have food on the table and they only finish the food on the table?
Yeah, yeah.
This mukbanger does timed mukbangs.
Like
so
what,
she'll sit there.
Speed?
No, she'll sit there for 6 hours doing mukbangs. And
how much is she eating,
fam? A lot. And in the middle of her video, her stomach started bleeding.
Oh, she had to go to the hospital?
Rushed to the hospital, and the nurse kind of did like what you did.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, they fixed it and stuff, which is very, like, it was miraculous that they even fixed that.
They could fix it and just let her go?
Yeah, and they let her go, right? And they said, you have to stop doing videos. And the parents were like,
yeah,
listen to the nurse, stop doing the mukbang
video. That's a livelihood, bro.
Yes.
That's a livelihood. You can't just give shit up.
she was like, since this is my life, I have to keep doing it. So the next week, does a 10-hour mukbang, live stream, presses the record button, sits there and eats, dies on camera.
Damn, bro. Just because you want to keep doing it?
Yes, because her stomach finally ripped apart.
Oh, what the fuck?
Crazy. And they did the autopsy. Fam, her stomach had uneaten food, so she was just swallowing stuff at one point. So she was swallowing pizza full, hamburgers, not chewing shit, ripped open.
Damn, she was just like vacuuming it, bro.
Crazy.
But I'm pretty sure even if you just drink too much water, you can die too.
Yeah, you can.
Like, you're just not supposed to have that much shit.
Yeah, I know. But they were telling me like this can is too much water. No, it's not.
Smart people everywhere.
They've been lying to you all your life. Everything you thought you knew about the world is an illusion. History is just their story. There's simply no way we built these buildings. People don't seem to understand the scale of these structures. The ornamentation is truly otherworldly. This style of architecture can be found all around the globe. It's really incredible to think about how people used to build them back then and how we do it now. But I don't believe all of this was built with hammers, chisels, horses, and carts. I think there's some kind of lost technology at play here. These buildings truly evoke emotions when you look at them. I can't imagine feeling anything similar when looking at one of our modern buildings.
And why were the doorways always so big and high? Anyone say giants? Oh. I will hug him in heaven one day.
Feet can tell you a lot about your internal health. If you have swelling in the feet, blood sugar problem, possibly type 2 diabetes. When you itch in the bottom of your feet, this could be a liver problem. Toenail fungus, imbalance with the good and bad bacteria. Pain in the bottom of the foot, plantar fasciitis, severe vitamin D deficiency. Cramping in your calves, especially while you're sleeping, severe magnesium deficiency. Numbness in the toes, B1 deficiency. And cracked heels, vitamin B2 deficiency.
Ooh.
Jesus died at 33 years old. You have 33 vertebrae within your spine. There's an oil called Christos that goes up and down your spine about every 28 days. When it hits a nerve called the vagus nerve, which looks like a cross, it dies for about 2.5 days and it resurrects 3 days. Very similar to the story of Christ Jesus. Now, the reason why I bring that up is because I think this is very important. I believe in Jesus Christ in my heart of hearts. I believe Jesus walked on this earth and was one of the greatest leaders that we could ever experience. I also believe that he was teaching us an internal process within our own body that happens every 28 days that can awaken humanity to who they truly, truly are.
But my friend, he was not one of the greatest leaders. He is the leader, the only leader. He's God. Everything pointing at him.
You guys will never believe who has just contacted me and what they want me to do. This might be crazier than NATO. Ready? The European Space Agency. And they want me to go with one of their astronauts while they do zero gravity training. Like, so in a couple of days, I will be getting on this flight, leaving Earth. No, okay, it's probably like similar heights that a regular plane goes, but what? Unlike a regular plane, this is literally like a roller coaster in the sky. So this plane flies in this big arc. It goes up, over, and then down. And so during that freefall, me, the astronaut, and everything else inside will be essentially falling at the same rate as the plane, which creates that zero gravity for astronaut training. I'm telling you right now, News Daddy about to be the first to bring you a news report without any gravity involved. Daily Mail, do that.
Don't go, Dylan. I think it's a setup to keep you quiet.
This thing is insane. Forget buying a house. Just buy a Brooder. This is the EXP8. It's Brooder's flagship trailer, and it might just be the most badass off-road, off-grid Jurassic Park style trailer that you can buy. The Brooder's suspension system can accommodate 37-inch tires. It has 12 inches of wheel travel and can be fully controlled from a digital display inside your preferred tow rig. The fully sealed composite body is extremely strong, and it comes fully insulated in closed-cell foam. There's plenty of storage on the outside. It's got a hidden recovery winch and enough exterior LED lighting to stage your own concert. It operates on a 1600-watt solar system, uses a 20 kilowatt-hour battery pack with a 5,000-watt inverter. It has a diesel heating and hot water system, an electric vehicle charger, a state-of-the-art touchscreen power management system, a remote water pickup, a 177-inch power slide awning, enough power outlets throughout for basically anything that requires one. The floors are marine grade, and if you're in a dusty environment, it's got a pressurized air filtration system. When it comes to the inside of this thing, well, it's beautiful, because of course it is. You've got a complete kitchen with an induction cooktop. You've got a slide-out table, an L-shaped couch, a big bed.
Wow.
It's got surround sound, a ton of interior storage. It's even got a washing machine and can sleep the entire family. This thing has more features than some houses. As for the price, well, the EXP8 starts just above $200,000.
You know, if you have enough money to buy one of these, just get an Earth Roamer. They are just this, but self-power, and in my opinion, much cooler.
So most people don't know that on a private jet, there's one seat that every single private jet owner or the lead principal always sits in. Can you guess which of these 8 seats it is? It's this seat. The owner of the airplane always sits in the right seat, first section facing the cockpit, which is also why this seat, if you noticed, here versus there, this one has all the buttons and all the controls because the owner always sits in this chair. So next time you're flying private, if you want to act like you know what you're doing, sit here.
I'll call shotgun.
People coming from space, you know?
Yes.
And I know you're interested in that.
Oh, very interested in that. How much did they tell you about that?
A lot.
Really?
Yeah.
What'd they tell you? How much can you tell?
So
how's that work? Is it like super top secret?
I can tell, you know.
Tell me.
Well, based on Hunter Biden, I can say whatever the hell I want, right? But no. But I interviewed a few people. It's never been my thing, I have to be honest. I have never been a believer. I have people that Area 51 or whatever it is. I think it's the #1 tourist attraction in the whole country or something. Area 51 in Las Vegas. Do you know that, right?
Sure, I know what it is.
So anyway, but it's a big tourist thing. So I interviewed jet pilots that say they saw something. If you saw them, you'd love to have them as
I've had a couple in here. Commander David Fravor.
Yeah.
I had him in, who had that sighting in 2004. Very compelling with video evidence, radar evidence. Ryan Graves.
I don't believe his name, but I interviewed jet pilots that were solid people. perfect. I mean, great pilots, great everything. And they said, we saw things, sir, that were very strange. Like a round ball, but it wasn't a comet or a meteor. It was something. And it was going 4 times faster than an F-22, which is a very fast plane, you know. And it was round, which is, in theory, a great shape.
So when you were talking to these people, was this something that you were compelled to have conversations about? Was this your personal interest?
A little bit. It's not a great interest for me, but it's a little interest. I get that question as much as almost any question. Do you think that we have aliens coming, you know, flying around or whatever?
What do you think?
There's no reason not to. I mean, there's no reason not to think that Mars and all these planets don't have life, you know, because
Mars, we've had probes there and rovers, and I don't think there's any life there.
Well, maybe it's life that we don't know, but
maybe there was life there at one point in time. This is the speculation about Mars, that Mars had an atmosphere at one point in time, a long time ago, that could support life. It also had large bodies of water, but we've had no evidence of even bacterial life that exists on Mars. But the universe is pretty vast. It's not been a big thing
for me. I mean, when I looked at what China did to this, they would have never done it with me, where they put the balloon up. And a lot of people thought for a little while that was you know, one of these things. So,
well, that's a lot of the speculation, too, that some of these drones that hover over battleships, that these are Chinese drones, and that they're not UFOs.
They could be also.
There's some super sophisticated.
But I did interview, let's say, 3 or 4 guys that, and without tremendous interest, if you had them, I said, you'd love to have them as your children. Solid, beautiful people. They said, sir, there's something there. You know,
there's something there.
Said it, yeah.
Yeah, I've talked to quite a few of them.
They're not conspiracy guys.
Well, I mean, just the Commander David Fravor thing in 2004 off the coast of San Diego, they clocked that thing going from 50,000 feet above sea level to 50 in a second.
Yeah.
They don't know what it is.
That's tough to beat.
Yeah, they saw something in the water. It was hovering over that something that was making a disturbance in the water. They got video evidence of this thing. 2 different fighter jets with pilots in them saw it. There's, you know, visual evidence, photographic evidence, video evidence, radar evidence. Whatever the hell it is, it moves in a way that would turn a human being into jello.
You know, is Joe Rogan trying to impress Trump? Dude, let Trump speak. I want to hear.
This massive army that you see here, this is all thanks to the greatest president in the world. His name is Bukele, and he's the president of El Salvador. The 500 officers, the 2,000 soldiers that you see here, they're on a manhunt. And they're on a manhunt for the last and final gang members in the area. He has a no BS policy approach to solving crime. He has actually transformed El Salvador in his presidency into something that was once thought unthinkable and impossible. It was the unaliving capital of the world, higher than any other country, higher than any country in Africa. And he turned it to the safest country in the Western Hemisphere. It's literally safer in El Salvador today than it is in Canada right now. And part of what he does with his approach is he actually has the prisoners, especially low-level offenders, repay their debt to society. And the way he does it is in a brilliant fashion. He will actually leverage the people who are currently incarcerated to fix schools, to make any sort of repairs, to build new chairs, new desks, tables, anything that the school systems or that the public needs, whether it's roads, repaving, anything. He will get them to do the work. And the reason that's important is you have to understand that there's a concept in economics called a public good. A public good is something that is consumed by all of us. That could be firefighters, police, safety, in Canada's case, healthcare. It's all free and it's paid by our taxes, but it's all freely available to us. But criminals use a certain part of the public good, namely the justice system, much more than anyone else. You have to think about the officers that then need to be hired to solve the crime, the investigators, the prosecutors, the judges, all the infrastructure surrounding all that. There's a massive cost, and that cost is borne by people who do not utilize that good at all, because we are law-abiding citizens. So that is why he has them repay their debt to society. And instead of them just sitting there, he's actually putting them to work. I don't know about you, but in Canada, the jails, I know for a fact, are nothing like the jails in El Salvador. It's basically a 5-star hotel in comparison. One thing I know for certain, that if we had rules that were stricter, like what the president of El Salvador has for repeat offenders and criminals, we wouldn't be having the problems that we have today. But sometimes, given the fact that we have so much increases in armed robberies, carjackings, people breaking and entering into people's homes, and a lot of violent offenders, I feel like we could use someone who has that mentality that Bukele has. Because the liberal catch and release policies, they simply do not work.
Yep, Nayib Bukele is the best ever president in the world. Human drone. What could go wrong, George?
Yeah.
I see.
Memphis, the capital of ancient Egypt.
Right. Yeah, you're bringing what?
Perhaps that's where our new God will come from.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. Yeah, I wish that was funny. Yeah, okay, so I want to talk to you about a line.
I wish that was funny.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, that wasn't creepy at all. That clip was from a very recent interview with Jordan Peterson and Musk inside of the Texas Gigafactory. You can go look it up right at the very beginning. I'm talking the first 2 minutes. Musk goes off topic and obviously makes Peterson feel super uncomfortable and awkward and starts talking about Memphis, Egypt, when in reality, as you can see, Memphis, Tennessee is where Musk has set up a XAI data center for God knows what. Now, what's honestly sad to me is that Elon Musk knows the Bible better than most Christians because, believe it or not, there is actually a specific passage that he is quoting from the Gospels when he's talking about Egypt the way that he just did. So I know you might be thinking that sounds a little crazy, but when you open up the New Testament, you see that the devil knows Scripture really, really well. He just knows how to twist it just right. And same with all his people at the tippy top of the pyramid, if you know what I'm saying. So let's take a look at what Elon Musk was actually talking about because, yeah, it's in Matthew. So Matthew 24 is all about end times, the last days, which is what we're living through right now. And when you go to verse 26, Jesus literally tells us what we're supposed to be looking for. We're supposed to be looking for a false Messiah and an Antichrist under these circumstances. Therefore, if everyone's saying to you, look, this false Messiah, this miracle worker is in the desert, do not go out. Or look, he is in the inner rooms, do not believe it. So there's something that we should be watching out for here and paying attention to. Desert and hidden rooms, secret chamber, something like that. Now, going back to what Elon Musk said, when you actually take a moment to look at where ancient Memphis is inside of Egypt, you'll find that it's right next to Cairo and it's right next to the Great Pyramid of Giza and the whole Giza complex of those ancient ruins. And so the Smithsonian published this article just a year ago talking about how a hidden chamber has been found inside the Great Pyramid of Giza, and how even these thousands of years later, the Great Pyramid continues to have secret chambers, passageways, and different things inside of it. Could this be what Jesus was referring to and what Elon Musk was diabolically laughing about? Could this really be the location of where the Antichrist might appear in the future? As you can see, the little letter I right there, that's the secret chamber that was found recently, but they're not sure what it looks like quite yet. They're still mapping it out. They're still discovering it, but there's a lot still in this pyramid, including where you see letter A down there. There's what's called the bottomless pit. So, hey, you tell me. Let me know what you think. But this is looking pretty suspicious all of a sudden. Should we be looking for an Antichrist from Egypt? Now, obviously, I have my own opinion on this one, and I think this is exactly what we should be looking for. This explains mountains upon mountains of predictive programming, Hollywood movies, music, you name it, Freemason logos, different types of logos that have been used in different societies, secret societies and orders from antiquity. This would explain so much. If you want my full breakdown on this topic and much more, get my new book, Bible Prophecy Secrets, and I'll see you in the next one. God bless. Take care.
Many are beginning to believe Prince Muhammad bin Salman, MBS of Saudi Arabia, might come as the Antichrist.
These all start going viral on TikTok. A TikToker named Harrison Schuyler posts a video. I think she's also an OnlyFans model. Posts a story time about the wildest thing that happened at the club 2 days ago. So she ends up at the club at the Keys, and suddenly this man appears. She has never seen this man in her entire life. Schuyler is like, I don't know this man, but this man, this stranger is like, hey you, my friend over there wants to gift you a Birkin.
Damn, what an opening.
He was like, my friend knows who you are. He's a fan of you and your work, and he wants to gift you a Birkin. And she says, and I quote, and this kid, I'm going to refer to him as a kid. I mean, he was definitely over the age of 18 or 21, hopefully, because he was at the club, but he looked pretty young. He comes towards me and he's like, I got this for you. And he hands me this box. It was the actual Hermes box. And he's like, do you like it? And I'm like, yeah, I do, but is it real? And he was like, of course it's real. It's for you. You can have it. And just walks away. The kid walks away after giving her. And it was, by the way, it was a Kelly, not a Birkin, but anyway, who cares? Another TikToker, Olivia Allen, 3, she starts posting TikToks at the same time, and she starts going viral of the green one. And it's the same story. A man in the club just randomly gifts her a Kelly bag, which is absolutely insane.
The boy is Malone. He has been arrested for stealing over $200 million.
So there's this woman in Texas who has
Crypto scam. I just remembered.
just given a masterclass on what not to do with the internet. So she apparently saw this pet squirrel and a pet raccoon thousands of miles away from her and thought, that bothers me. I'm going to Google and look up who to call to complain about this thing that just is really bothering me. And so apparently she did. And then the authorities, which that's a whole nother thing, came and took this squirrel and raccoon and then ended up euthanizing them. Why I say it's a masterclass is because she's being dragged on the internet and her businesses are getting horrible reviews. And you can look up her name. I'm not gonna say her name on here. But I guess the moral of the story is if something's not bothering you, it's thousands of miles away, it's not hurting anybody, why do you feel the need to make life hard for that other person? It's such a great example of how some adults can't self-regulate. And this woman should have self-regulated because where she's at now is not where she thought she would have been 7 days ago. And I feel really bad for her. But moral of the story is if something's not bothering you and it's not hurting anyone else, just let it go.
For real.
Go on with your life. Enjoy your life. Don't bother with other people's lives.
And who's the judge that gave the go-ahead to do this?
How does one get possessed?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. The two biggest ways are dabbling in the occult.
What does that mean?
Playing with demonic things, Ouija boards, going to a psychic, tarot cards, or actual occult worship of the devil. Those are pretty much immediate open doors that you're going to have demons come right in.
Psychics are demonic.
They're not channeling your dead relatives. Well, the psychic told me my mother shared this with me when I was 10, and nobody ever knew that but us. So it has to be my mom, except for the demons in the room, who also heard it. And now they're impersonating your mother.
Wow.
They can put up a good show. They can also place thoughts in our minds, and they can manipulate our emotions. And when you have that trifecta, the person is 100% believes it's their
100%. This is why it's forbidden to speak with the dead, because it's not the dead you're speaking with.
How can you claim a 6,000-year-old Earth when carbon-14 results are coming back 50,000 years?
The 6,000-year-old Earth actually comes from the historical record of the Bible. Carbon dating does produce ages typically around 50,000 years, say, but when we take into account things like the decay in the Earth's magnetic field, which means that more and more carbon-14 is being produced today than was in the past, and when we take into account the effects of the flood, which would have dramatically changed the ratio of carbon-14 to carbon-12, then we find that those 50,000-year dates actually contract back to around the time of the flood, which, according to Bible history, was about 4,500 years ago. That provides a wonderful calibration point for all
Carbon dating has been proven to be ineffective and inaccurate in the 90s already.
For nearly 60 years, TGI Fridays has sold fun, but the party may soon be over. This weekend, the chain filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection. The company has already closed more than 100 U.S. locations over the past year.
Drinking a glass of water and salt before bed dissolves 2.2 pounds of belly fat almost overnight. So if you're struggling to lose weight, I'm going to tell you a secret that the weight loss industry doesn't want you to know. This water loophole has just been discovered that can liquefy 15 pounds of belly flab in just a matter of weeks. This shocking 2023 study by top Stanford scientists confirmed that weight gain has nothing to do with diet, genetics, or exercise, but instead with a little-known brown fat cells inside the body. They found that having low brown fat cells wreaks havoc on your hormone health, mutating your cells into fat cells and instantly expanding them. In many cases, having low brown fat cells will block your body's ability to release stored fat. If your body can't access fat to use as energy, the fat will never go away. This is the reason why keeping the pounds off long-term is almost impossible for you, even with strict diets and exercise. Research by Stanford scientists revealed the real root cause of your slow metabolism and accelerated aging. These Stanford scientists discovered, by preparing a water and salt tonic in a very strange and unusual way, to increase brown fat by 326%. And it works like crazy. This odd water loophole is so confidential. The multi-billion-dollar weight loss industry is fighting to remove this video from the internet. Hundreds of thousand mothers, fathers, and grandparents are using this odd water hack and have reported losing at least 1 pound of fat the very first day. This odd water tonic targets the root cause of stubborn belly fat. So once the fats are gone, it's gone forever. Stop what you're doing right now and click the Learn More button below to watch a free video that
of
shows how you
course.
can start doing this water loophole
How
today
much?
and melt fat of your body forever. Remember, this has nothing to do with diet or exercise, and it doesn't matter if you need to lose 5, 20, or even 50 pounds of fat. Like Charlie, a 50-year-old father from Texas who finally got rid of his beer belly, or Julia, who effortlessly slid back into her favorite dresses from her teenage years. Imagine the slimmest, healthiest version of yourself possible without the suffering and starving. The weight loss industry doesn't want you to see this discovery as it is ruining their billion-dollar profits. I don't know how much longer this video will be up, so tap the link below before it's too late. One favor, take what you've learned from this video and tell one other person to keep this vital conversation going. Together, we can make America help.
It sounds salacy. You know, it dissolves fat, but then give you high blood pressure.
The story is neither confirmed nor denied, but apparently during the Soviet days, they did an experiment to see if you were to keep someone sleep deprived, how long you could keep them sleep deprived, and what they would do.
Are you talking about the Russian sleep experiment?
Yeah.
It's so scary.
So maybe 7 people. They were put in a room. Anytime they would get sleepy, blasting lights, music. So like you literally could not sleep. Started going crazy.
Right.
And they're screaming and they're like going manic. And then there's one point where all of them were just silent.
Oh my gosh.
And so they looked, none of them are sleeping, they're all just sitting. And now they're a little concerned of their psychosis.
Now they are, yeah.
Now, because they were just blank.
Right.
And they're like, okay, well, we're going to inject you so that you can sleep. And they barred the doors and they said, no, we don't want to sleep. They're hearing voices now. And there's like entities talking to them. And they're like, if we sleep now, we'll lose them. But, like a doctor came in and they ripped him to shreds, killed him. They said that if I go to sleep, I'll die.
They were dying, weren't
Apparently one died when he fell asleep. His last words were like, I was so close to freedom.
Yeah.
What was freedom?
I don't know. This guy in North Carolina, he was leasing this giant warehouse, and FEMA had no place to put all their stuff. He's like, you can use part of my warehouse.
Voluntarily opened it up to them.
being a rat guy.
And so what they also put in there was pallets worth of prime drink, and apparently there's some ingredient that is not approved through FEMA. And then they went to the guy and said, since you have this in your warehouse, you no longer have a lease. We are apprehending your warehouse. And so he's kicked out of his own place for offering it. They put the prime in there, and they said, can't have that in there.
They did that on purpose.
Yeah, someone
Dude,
said.
this is sounding like William Wallace, prima nocta, medieval English garbage.
That's my warehouse, and I shall take her.
This is crazy.
You may take our warehouses. You may take our land. But you will never take our freedom.
You may take our prime.
You may take our prime. But as you're lying in your beds as an old age, would you not trade all of that?
All of those tomorrows.
For one chance for your freedom!
Do you know what this is? This is a vampire tap. It was used in the past to give you access to a network by piercing a cable. So something like this, where you have a transceiver with a vampire tap inside of it, piercing into this copper Ethernet cable so that you could get access to the network. So as an example here, if I open this up, you can see the vampire tap right there. If I take these screws out, you can see vampire tap goes inside this transceiver, which is then used to connect to a network. Now, to actually make the hole in the cable, you'd use a tapping tool like this. So on the 10-base-5 network, where you have these black markings, you would literally make a hole in the cable. So something like this. Make the hole so that the vampire tap can be inserted into the hole and reach the copper portion of the cable. So in this example, I've got the transceiver with the vampire tap inserted. These were used to make sure that the cable didn't move. So you would connect it like that, slide this in, and then screw this into position. And then you had to use a drop cable like this, which you would connect to the transceiver, something like that, into your network card, which is inserted into your computer. So what a nightmare this was. Fortunately today, it's a lot easier. We don't have to tap into cables using a tool like this to be able to get access to the internet. All we need to use these days is Wi-Fi or unshielded twisted pair cabling like this. So much easier to use copper Ethernet cabling like this rather than having to deal with this crazy 10-base-5 technology.
USA on internet cables in ocean. Fiber optics cable.
Form 7. It's on Netflix. You know how we always question what happens to our soul after we die?
Yeah.
Like this show, the whole point of it was your soul gets trapped in the place that you died at. So there was this person who was at a train station, didn't know any parts of like how she died before, right? So she was going in the train station, she was trying to talk to people, but everybody was just ignoring her walking by, right? And like, you know that gate where you swipe your card and you go out? She tried to swipe her card, but then she got stopped by a barrier.
Like an invisible barrier.
Yeah, like an invisible barrier. She's like, what's going on? Obviously, she doesn't know how she died. She's stuck in this for like a year. Just becomes a soulless person trapped in the station.
Just replaying.
In the middle of the show, an old man comes with a dog at night when nobody's there. She tries to tell her, oh, sir, what are you doing here? The old man ignores, ties his dog onto like the chair and puts a note in the dog. She's like, what is this guy doing? So the guy goes near the train tracks, and when the train comes, he jumps. The next day, the whole day replays, right?
Yeah.
Now the girl and the old man can have a convo because they're both dead in the train station where they both died. The girl's trying to explain like, no, you're dead. The guy's like, no, I don't believe it. Tries to go out of the train station, blocked.
So she's stuck in limbo.
Stuck. Yeah.
This show is so intense. The idea of being trapped in the place where you die is chilling.
Y'all gonna learn today that everything is spiritual in this world. Y'all gonna learn.
Y'all gonna learn.
This world is spiritual. Okay? Our sister Kimmy.
Our sister.
Dressed up as a full out, which she calls an albino alligator. And it was in a sexy type of vibe. That's a serpent. That's a reptilian. These people in the upper echelons is painting the story. It is very clear. It is in our face. There's nothing to question. There's nothing to wonder. There's nothing to second guess. This is showing me is that 2025 is about to be a complete riot. That's what it's showing me in the spirit, okay? I need for people to stop thinking so natural-minded and look in the spirit and see with your spirit what is happening, especially with this election, especially with the people in the upper echelons, the biggie wigs, your elect. Please open up your eyes and understand that most things are a foundation of spiritualism. And I say that because most people get mad at Christians and believers because we're constantly saying things are demonic. Because this world is founded on sin. It started back in the Garden of Eden. What don't y'all get? So majority of everything is from a demonic connotation. Matter of fact, let's go to the Word of God. It's a good scripture too. 2 Corinthians 4:4. The God of the age has blinded the minds of unbelievers so that they cannot see the light of the gospel of the glory of Christ, who is in the image of God. In the New Living Translation, it says, Satan, the God of this world, has blinded unbelievers to be able to see. It says, who has blinded the minds of the people. It comes to a point where we must, instead of always coming up against what we are seeing and what we are feeling in our spirits, because that is an indication that something is shifting, that we must say, okay, let me stop for a second. I may not believe in God, or I may not believe in what a lot of these people are saying, but let me just take a stop and shift, just to try to see it from the lenses. Because I know people think, oh, it's just Halloween, it's a Halloween costume. That can be very much so a thing, right? This stuff is spiritual, y'all. If you look deep and you know about reptilians, you go down into the Word of God, how the Bible describes Satan, you'll get it. You'll catch it. Like a lot of things that be happening and what we be seeing visually through movies, television shows, just in totality of all of that, I really feel like these are signs. What is coming, I believe that these are symbolic. That's what I believe. And if you know anything about the spirit realm is very symbolic, okay? Just like when we talk about blood is a symbolic thing as it relates to different sacrifices. But all I'm saying is, she wasn't just, oh, I'm going to be this for Halloween, just to be, oh, I'm just going to be this for Halloween. No, you're not selling that. You're not selling it. This world is spiritual. Open up your eyes. And
Yep.
thank you.
Our sister Kimmy, honey, she ain't my sister. Oh, have you seen Heidi Klum costumes? She's showing her true form.
It's the crazy just released video of a prison break shot by the escapees
Yeah.
themselves. It happened in January 2016. What we didn't know then was the men had the nerve to document their escape on a cell phone that had been smuggled in.
We had a duffel bag and a backpack full of stuff.
The video was released by the lawyer for the ringleader, Hussein Nayeri. It's been skillfully edited. They even added their own musical score. With the theme from Mission Impossible playing, you can see them using a ladder made from rope and bed sheets. One inmate proudly poses with his handiwork. Iron bars block their access to the roof, but one has been sawed through. They're out, finally making it to the roof. They're so cocky they take a moment to pose for another celebratory photo. They then rappelled down 5 stories using high-grade rope that they had somehow smuggled into the prison. Once clear of the prison, the men abducted a cab driver and forced him to drive them north 400 miles to San Francisco.
They be watching too much Prison Break.
Theoretically, praying silently inside of your own house is now illegal
Come
in
on.
Scotland. Not even an exaggeration. There's a new law passed this year in Scotland called the Abortion Services Act, which specifically creates 200-meter safe access zones around every abortion clinic in the country, and you violate the law if you do anything that would cause harassment, alarm, or distress to staff and patients of these clinics. But specifically included in the list of things that could cause distress is religious preaching and silent prayer vigils. And by the way, applies to both public locations, like outside on the sidewalk, but also private residences such as a house if silent prayer can be seen through your window and you happen to live within 200 meters of an abortion facility. Extremely similar laws are slated to start being enforced in England and Wales this month, and I can guarantee you the exact same legislation is coming to the United States. Every day, I become less and less surprised by how far the elites are willing to go to silence and suppress freedom of expression, but to criminally penalize silent prayer in someone's own home to protect the dignity and innocence of all human life is a new low for Western civilization.
I think there's going to be a lot more prayer in Scotland.
This is crazy. We saw a thing on TikTok where if you put your smartphone in foil and someone else rings it, it won't ring. And it's on loud and you won't get text messages until you take the foil off.
Alright, watch this. I'm going to take off the foil.
So when I called him, it literally went straight to voicemail. And now when he takes it off, twice. The messages should come through once the foil's off in the phone call. Notification. See? No notification that I called or texted
There we go.
him.
The internet, it just comes back into
And-
service.
Yep, the service came back on. It even took it out of service. There we go.
There we go.
Boom. There's my message. And
Wait for the 2 missed calls. There we go.
and 2 missed calls. How crazy is that?
And that was done on something. Look, there they go. Look, they've just come through.
Admittedly,
Not worry about the pipe in the background.
I feel that desire more towards you than him.
Why is that?
I don't like you very much.
Oh, you want to hit my head against the bricks?
Yeah.
Why? Why is that? I'm sorry you have that feeling.
I feel like we just went over this.
Wait, you want to hit my head against the bricks, but is that a good desire or a bad desire?
It makes me feel good. It wouldn't be very good if I did it right now.
It wouldn't be?
It would not be, no.
But it
I mean,
makes
if
you
you
feel
want
good.
it, if you're giving me your consent.
But it makes you feel good.
It would make me feel very good. But it's
Why does it make you feel good?
because I'm taking control. I don't have any control in life.
Okay, so it's a control issue.
It's a control issue.
So it's kind of like you want to be your own god?
Sure, why not?
So you taking my face and bashing it, or curb stomping me over here.
Feet, legs, hands, I don't care.
This makes you feel, so it's not an intrusive thought, it actually makes you feel good.
No, I let it in. I opened the door for it.
You open the door.
The devil is working hard, but Stuart and Cliff, Work harder.
Do you know Hollywood celebrities attend this? This dinner is hosted by this lady that I will not say her name out loud because TikTok just likes to take down every video. If you notice in each of these photos, there's a human head. And rumors have it, they eat humans. Major celebrities have attended these dinners. Do you know why she and all of these celebrities promote this kind of just demonic behavior, let's be honest? This is because of the Antichrist consciousness teachings. To understand their mentality, you have to understand what the Antichrist is. It is to hate everything that has life. This is why the word evil is actually just a reverse of live. They don't like anything that has a soul. They don't like anything that has a strong connection towards source or what you call God. When you hate everything that lives, you will try to destroy all types of life forms. This is why we have extreme capitalism. This is why we have pollution issues. This is why narcissism is promoted in our society. This is also why these people in Hollywood do such weird things. And it's not just them, it's anybody in power and influence. And this includes your politicians. There are other occult and esoteric reasons why, as to they drink the blood of their victims and they eat the meat of their victims. It's an alchemical process in which they will obtain the life force energy. And it's almost like a mockery. Now this lady here clearly does, black magic. And you can see in her eyes just how empty she looks. And this is what they don't tell you about working with demons and black magic and darker elements. Demons are jokesters, as in they will never give you equal exchange. You think you're getting something out of it, they're actually eating your soul away and taking your essence away little by little. They do not play fair. Anybody who practices with demons, you'll start to see their eyes starting to just become empty. The light has been drawn out of them. The reason why all of this is blowing up in their faces and everybody's finding out just the heinous things they do to people behind closed doors is because if there is one weakness that demons and the entities of hell has, is their ego. Their ego, their narcissism, and their lack of intelligence. They don't ever learn. They repeat the same mistake over and over and over again. At some point, they become too cocky and they taunt you too much, and demons will always taunt you because they think you can't figure it out. But once you do, they're gonna be like, oh, I screwed up, didn't I? Like I said in a lot of my videos, what you're about to see is these people that used to have power and influence grasping at breaking strings to try to claw onto us for more of our energy. What you don't want to do is give them too much of your energy. I always promote people to just do the inner healing, do the inner work, search for your inner empathy and your heart energy. Because essentially the reason why they hate humanity is because of your heart, is because of your humanity. Remember, evil is the opposite of live. But anyway, I expose more about the truth of this matrix and what these fallen angelics or people in control want from us in my book, Made in God's Image. You can find the link in my bio because I say things in my book that I can't say here on TikTok. So I hope it helps you out, and I hope this video helps you out.
The best way to avoid this is to accept Christ as your Lord and Savior.
So from what I've been hearing, this video circulating around is of a Russian soldier that is in Kursk who has been trying to learn how to read North Korean, because apparently North Korean troops have been moving to Kursk and are preparing to enter the battle space there. The National Intelligence Service of South Korea is claiming that there are some North Korean generals and some very high-ranking officials in their military that could potentially join the front as well in Russia, probably because the only experience most of the military folks in North Korea have is fighting their own people. They probably want them to get some actual combat experience in a modern day conflict. So that way, if they do go to war, they're not as completely inept as a fighting force as they more than likely are, having not fought any adversaries like in an open war since the Korean War in the 1950s.
The animals, with brains happily marinated in natural alcohol, can barely keep their balance. Lions and antelopes walk side by side, wobbling as they've seemingly forgotten their roles as predator and prey, all just soaking up the bliss. Every year, around February or March, the marula fruit is known as the fruit of joy. The first to arrive are the mischievous baboons, munching away with abandon. Next come the elephants, whose mere shakes of a tree send a cascade of marula fruits tumbling to the ground, kicking off the free ultimate all-you-can-eat buffet. As these fruits sit in the heat, their high sugar content ferments, creating alcohol with a punch similar to beer. At first, it's all fun and games, but soon the effects start kicking in. Elephants are staggering, gazelles look like they're trying out some wobbly dance moves, and even the hyenas are stumbling along, looking as goofy as ever. For once, the only worry on the animals' minds is holding steady on their feet. In these rare, carefree moments, they're truly just living their best boozy lives.
Animals are beautiful.
Why do you smell bad? Perspiration does not smell unless you're toxic. So you say, well, that's not sociable. That's not admissible. I can't go out in the world like this. I got to stop this. So what are you really doing? The body's last desperate attempt to get rid of toxins through perspiration. What is the normal way of detoxifying? Through the liver and the feces, through the kidneys and the urine, through the breathing, you're breathing out carbon dioxide and so on. But when everything is blocked and the liver is overloaded and the kidneys are overloaded and the body tries to get rid of things through perspiration, you say, oh, nobody, you can't do that to me. It's not sociable. And you block it. You stop it. So what are you doing? You're pushing these toxins right back into the lymphatics, right back into the breast. Then you're surprised there's breast cancer. It's a contributing factor. I'm not saying it's the only thing. In men, it's a different story. Breast cancer in men is rapidly increasing. It's now 1% of female. And in men, it's particularly aggressive. You can't use ointments or creams or minerals or anything underarm except a little soap and water or maybe a little vinegar water. And then you say, yes, but I smell. What's my answer? Eat right and you won't smell.
Kim Kardashian, this costume is fire. You know exactly what this is. Oh, you don't know? You don't know? It's not a game. What's next? What you gonna be next Halloween? You see it. I don't even gotta say nothing. Well, I already said something. It's getting crazy, guys. 2024. Get ready. Why? Oh, we know why. TikTok, this is for entertainment purposes only. I'm only showing Kim Kardashian's Halloween costume. That's all I did. Everybody seems to like this. Oh, so you're not ever gonna hide anymore, huh? Got you. Real detailed. Not bad at all. I'm getting kind of scared looking at this. I don't know, guys. You let me know what you think. I don't even know when's the last time I dressed up for Halloween. Wow, they did a great job with this. I tell you that much. This looks really real. It's not real. Day after day, they keep showing us. And you people don't want to see it. Why? Because there's nothing to see here. It's just a costume.
This guy.
Very interesting. Get ready. The clock is ticking. I'm out of here.
So if you haven't heard of this, look it up. Look it up. It's called demon face syndrome. When I first started reading about it and hearing, I thought it was like the person's face, like transformed and like made a demon face looking thing. No, that's not it. They came up with this syndrome as a classification for what you are seeing. Yeah, that's right. People are reporting seeing demonic faces in people, and they're saying, you're not seeing what you're seeing, you have a disorder. If that's not the ultimate gaslighting, I don't know what is. What is really going on? Shit, I don't know. I have my opinions. You know, in that movie They Live, like, check my profile, I pinned it for you, I did a little video on it, but in that movie They Live, when they put the glasses on and all the, like, lizard faces and stuff were shown, but when they destroyed the signal thing at the end, you didn't need the glasses anymore, everybody could see it? Yeah. I mean, is this a timeline shift thing? Is this a raising of the consciousness thing? I don't know. But it's not an issue with your eyes. So in case you're wondering, the Matrix is going to tell you do not trust your eyes, trust the experts and the authority. But a certain someone a couple thousand years ago said, for those that have ears, let them hear. Who do you listen to? Anyway, have you heard about this demon face syndrome thing? What do you know? What do you think?
They have been around, it's just most people don't have a spiritual eye to see them.
I used to think of Genesis as like, oh, here we go. This is the boring chapter. What did God form us out of, guys? Dust. Many of us want to be formed out of gold, diamond, VVS, right? But why did God choose dirt? Because although dirt is stepped on, it's undervalued. When you drop a seed inside of dirt, it produces life. You can't drop a seed on gold or diamond. It's not going to produce life. We produce life as long as we remain dirt. God wants us to be humble, to remember
So
that we're
good.
dirt, and that dirt will then draw, again, the nutrients from the seed, everything else.
I recommend everyone to join his Bible study. The breakdown is so much deeper. Go to his profile on TikTok at DTHEE Johnny Chang.
Here are three things about your lawyer that you probably don't know. Number one, your lawyer had to pass the bar to become a lawyer. That's right, the British Accredited Registry, which means that they take an oath with the Queen of England. Number two, every lawyer is an esquire, meaning what? They're part of the Queen's civilian militia, which is why number three, your lawyer cannot represent you, they represent you. What do you mean? When you go into court, they represent you as a straw person, a fictional person, which is why you ain't got no rights up in these courtrooms. If you want to learn how to get your rights, join our next financial IQ challenge by just putting challenge in the comments section, and the link will be sent directly to you. For more gems, just follow me. I'm Rick the Wealth Coach.
Rick the Well Coach just broke it all the way down in less than 60 seconds.
Ridiculous facts that will make you laugh. A woman earlier this year brought a baby hedgehog to a wildlife hospital thinking that it was hurt, but in reality it was actually just a beanie. Queen Elizabeth one time actually accepted an invite to a random wedding that invited her. In the 1980s, an army supply clerk accidentally ordered a $28,000 anchor instead of a $6 lamp because of a mistype in an order number. There was a rumor that Stephen Hawking would deliberately run over people's toes that he didn't like. He denied the rumor by stating that it was malicious and that he would run over anybody's toes that spread it. Animal Planet aired a fake documentary about mermaids that made thousands of people convinced that they were real. Twice. And it wasn't even on April Fool's Day. It was in May 2012 and May 2013. It was the most watched telecast on Animal Planet since Steve Irwin's memorial 6 years before. This teenager's art was not discovered by his parents for multiple years until they looked at their house on Google Earth.
I want to see that mermaid documentary.
Pope sacrifice ritual to beat Rico case? Young Thug and his legal team are trying to dismiss the fact that these dark practices are involved. But here is what God showed me in a dream recently. I had a dream where I saw everything: rituals, the court case, the judge, YSL, and how all this is being used as a spiritual tactic from the enemy to escape judgment. This isn't just a legal issue, it's a spiritual battle. Witchcraft and these demonic practices have always been used to gain power. But the truth is, they only lead to more bondage. The enemy wants to kill, steal, and destroy. I want everyone to say a prayer for Young Thug, his team, and this legal case, that all darkness will come to the light. If you prayed, I want you to comment down below. Jesus Christ is King.
Jesus Christ is King, indeed.
Take a look at this.
Was killed by a sword for preaching in Ethiopia. Mark died in Alexandria after being dragged through the city. Luke was hanged from an olive tree in Greece. James was beheaded in Jerusalem. James the Less was thrown from the temple wall, and then they stoned him to death because the fall didn't kill him. Philip was hanged in Phrygia. Bartholomew was flayed. Andrew was bound to a cross with ropes and left to die by exposure. Jude was shot to death with arrows. Thomas was run through with a lance. Matthias was stoned and then beheaded.
Yep. Praise the Lord. Once again, Jesus Christ is King.